Good morning, warriors. Welcome to the U Movement. I am B, and in keeping with Ask B Anything, I had another question proposed to me, which is, what do I do during a purge? So before I answer that question, first, what's a purge? For those that may be joining us from the trauma side of things and don't know this lingo, a purge in the spiritual communities is what's known as a dramatic release of emotion that's usually accompanied with a lot of tears, and it's a lot of memory and a lot of trauma that is surfacing. From the trauma camp, that may be described as an emotional flashback. So different lingos, again, from the same double camps. I've talked about my theory about there's more than one perspective to looking at what's happening. One from the spiritual point of view of a spiritual awakening, one from the point of view from psychology in regards to reliving and remembering past traumas and things like that. So both are true. It's just a slightly different perspective of the same thing. So a purge is an emotional flashback or release of some trauma, as well as, again, releasing trauma, but from the spiritual point of view, it's a clearing energetically of your body. Because what happens is when you have a trauma at a young age, that you're not able to deal with that trauma or process through it because of your age and the mental state that you're at, or because it's so overwhelming that it just gets locked in and we shut it down, we repress it. So there's a lot of reasons why we have not maybe perhaps had the tools learned on how to deal with emotions. And if you were raised in an environment with a lot of emotional neglect, meaning that you weren't safe to emote, it wasn't a safe place to emote, or you were told to shush, or you were told that you were gaslit and told that's not how you feel, that's not what's going on, pull yourself together. I'll give you something to cry about, these types of things. And so your emotional processes, your learning on how to emote was shut down, and then you find coping strategies. So as a kid, that may look like acting out or behaving badly, and then when you get into teen years, that may look like self-soothing through unhealthy coping mechanisms. I started smoking when I was 14 and started drinking just thereafter because it was a way to help repress all of the emotions that I wasn't allowed to emote. So learning how to emote on this awakening path became a primary necessity because I didn't know how. I had used my entire life coping mechanisms, pharmaceuticals as a way to shut down, antidepressants, things like that, anti-anxiety medications. So all these anti-medications is just another way to kind of package down. But the problem is what we're packaging down, what we're pushing down inside of us doesn't go away. It just accumulates. It gets lodged in our bodies. Our bodies have cellular memory, and that cellular memory stores those experiences and those emotions for us until we're older and more able to deal with it. And many of us on this awakening path may have thought to themselves, well, I'm just never going to deal with it. I certainly did. And then what happens is you have a Kundalini awakening, which or a different type of awakening. And what happens is the energetic of your body, your soul, infiltrates into your little meat suit and says, right, we're clearing this junk out. It's time to purge out and release out all of this stuff that you have been holding on to in your cells, in the junk in your trunk, so to speak, all the big belly, all the emotions that haven't been expressed, and things like this. So I was vastly overweight, and sorry for the background noise, I hope that dissipates. I was vastly overweight, and that was me holding on to a lot of emotion and trauma that I hadn't been allowed to express. And so what happens is, as children, we are walking around in a state of basically PTSD. So we lock it all away, and then the awakening happens, and the awakening goes, we're clearing out. And it can be very, very overwhelming if you've gone through your entire life, because the awakening also takes away all of your previous unhealthy soothing coping mechanisms. So you will be told by spirit, your food, your self-soothing through food, that's got to go. Your self-soothing through alcohol, that's got to go. Your self-soothing through cigarettes, that's got to go. And all of these are related to different chakra centers. I have done a video on addictions and the chakra system in the chakra playlist. I'll put a link to that at the end, because depending on where the wound lies in us, in our energetics, what happens is we look for synthetic ways to self-soothe. So, for example, smoking is a mummy wound that exists in your heart chakra, and it's a way to synthetically swaddle that inner child inside of you with all that warm air, and so it's a means of self-soothing. So that's what cigarettes is. And alcohol is a solar plexus, sacral chakra. It's our water center. So a lot of uncried tears is associated with drinking. It's easier to drink them back than cry them out. And so if you have been doing like I have been doing and drinking back the tears for a number of years, when you begin your awakening process, you will cry. Crying is a huge part of this process. My first year in my awakening, I call the year of the tear. I wish that I had bottled those things. Maybe I could have made a small fortune with the amount of tears that came. So let's get to the actual question. How do I self-soothe on this awakening process? So number one, I allow. And learning to allow yourself when you've previously been doing anything and everything, no matter how crazy it is, to repress those emotions, and people will do anything. As radical out there, just to look at the drug problem in the world as it is today, because people will grasp on anything to keep those emotions locked down. So the first thing that you need to learn how to do is allow yourself to emote. And you can put a little sign on your inside of your bedroom door that just says allow, as a reminder that as this stuff comes up, you have to allow it to release. You have to allow yourself to purge. And your impulse, your egoic impulse, is going to be do anything else but do this. Okay, I'm gonna all of a sudden busy myself with cleaning out my bookshelf, or cleaning out that drawer that I haven't looked at for 20 years that's full of junk. I'm gonna watch TV, I'm gonna scroll, I'm going to take substances, I'm gonna do anything and everything to prevent myself from actually doing the purging. So we have to allow. And one way that we can do this, because it's terrifying and your ego's going to fight it, your ego is going to say, listen, you gave me the instructions at a young age to protect that inner child and not let you have access into those emotions. It's like putting up a fence, and the ego is standing guard of the fence saying, you can't get past here, and you're saying, it's time. It's time. I have to allow these emotions to come out. So one way that in allowing can help is to remind yourself, I am going through a purge, and I have to do this, and I'm going to set a timer for 25 minutes, and just for the next 25 minutes I'm going to allow whatever to come out. So you obviously want to be in your room and in a safe place. You don't want to be allowing yourself a purge at the middle of your desk, in the middle of an office, or anything like that. So picking an appropriate time and place, and then saying, okay, I can feel it's coming, and I'm just going to allow. I've been pushing it off long enough. 50 years I've been pushing this off. I'm not going to push it off any longer. So I'm going to allow. Number one, allow. Number two, self-soothing is learning to touch yourself, learning to hug yourself, learning because when you think of what a parent would do when when a child is like in a highly emotional state, a healthy parent that's going to allow those emotions. So again, it comes back to allowing. If you weren't learned to allow, now we're allowing, and so while we're allowing, we have to reparent. And part of that is imagining, you holding yourself like a parent would and saying, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And so the power of touch has been huge on this awakening process, because a lot of these emotions that come up are very, very overwhelming and terrifying. So learning to have your feelings is a whole new process for many of us that are out there on this awakening path that have had traumatic upbringings. And so in learning to emote and not fear the emotions, and I've previously done a video called Don't Fear the Feelings. Please go check that video on. I'll try to add it on the end with a link there, or put a link in the description. Because learning to feel grief can feel scary. Learning to feel anxiety can feel scary. Learning to feel even like fear. And then what happens is, we start fearing the feelings, and that exacerbates the feelings and pushes us further down on the emotional scale. So we start having anxiety, and we're like, oh fuck, I'm having anxiety. Oh my God, no, I need to stop this. What can I do to stop this anxiety? And then it turns into panic. And then it turns into terror. And then you're like thinking that you need to go to the hospital because you're having a heart attack. So we don't want to go down the cycle. So we want to learn to, okay, I'm emoting fear. I'm emoting whatever emotion that is coming up, and it's okay. It's okay. So learn how to touch yourself is huge on self-soothing. Touch your arms. Hug yourself, really get a tight squeeze and touch yourself, touch your head, stroke your head, do everything that you would do to a child that was having a nightmare, or a child that was having a screaming fit that, you love and you care about, and it's okay. That's what you would say to them. You would say to them, it's okay, which brings me to number three, which is that brings me to number three, which is reparenting through audio recordings. And so this has been hugely powerful as a way to help me self-soothe through a lot of the very young issues that have come up, little inner child work that has come up, is to make audio recordings of myself speaking to my inner child. So instead of affirmation work, which is an I am approach, I am this, I am that, you're not speaking to your adult mind, you're speaking to your inner child. So make an audio recording. You can download an app for free, and they have little audio recordings, and you can make one in a 3-minute clip, doing and saying whatever you need to hear at that present moment in time. Depending on what is being purged, what emotion you are facing, you're going to say different things. No different than if your child had a nightmare, you'd say different things than if a child fell down and skinned their knee. Yeah, right? So making an audio recording such as, it's okay, you are safe. So you are, as opposed to I am, because you're talking to the inner child. Okay, so with your voice, which is going to be way more soothing than listening to somebody else's voice on the internet. So you are lovable, you are safe, you are kind, you are gentle, you are, you are whatever it is that little inner child is needing to hear at the moment. Everything's going to be okay. I love you. You are lovable. You are worthy. You are deserving. I know it didn't work out for you. I know you're sad. I know you're grieving. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay. You're okay. Everything's okay. And then finish your recording, and then play that back for yourself on a repetition. I've slept full nights. I made an audio recording for myself for 5 minutes and played it the entire night through when I was in the throes of dark night of the soul, and a lot of ego death was happening, a lot of purges were happening, a lot of fear, a lot of terror, a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic, a lot of confusion, a lot of loss, a lot of sadness, a lot of sorrow, a lot of anguish, every single emotion that I never experienced in my life, I had to experience on this awakening path, because I was too busy pretending everything was okay and repressing it in any number of ways. So when your Kundalini begins and the purge starts, every single emotion that you can think of fathomable is going to be experienced on this awakening path. So number 4 is movement. This is the U movement, and movement has been huge on my process from day 1 up until today, and when I talk about movement, in understanding that if trauma is lodged in our body, then helping it to release through movement is going to be hugely beneficial. And so you can check out on YouTube somatic release workouts if you want, or the yin yoga if you want. But I find in any given moment, intuitively, you know what you need. So just lying on your back and hugging your knees into you and just rocking is incredibly powerful in soothing that inner child again, who is reliving that state of trauma of whatever experience happened to them. And so just rocking, because a lot of trauma is locked in our hips and our psoas muscles and our glutes and all of these types of muscles. So just a gentle, soothing rocking motion as you're lying on your back, or if you feel intuitively drawn to just make gentle movements in any way, shape, or form. Maybe it's this, and it's a soothing type of that's really going to help assist you. Any kind of gentle flow kind of movements. Even when I'm doing my yin yoga, if depending on what position I'm in, I might add and incorporate a gentle sway into the mix, just to help. And it doesn't matter, if you're doing Sphinx pose and your head's up and you're just like, I'm going to just add a little sway to this so that it hits into the mid back and helps release something that's trapped in there. And there's been many times that I've been doing yoga and I'm bawling my eyes out crying as I'm doing it, and just doing these gentle releases and allowing it to flow. Yoga is a great time to allow to flow. In alignment with movement, I want to talk a little bit about, because I made a post yesterday about how I just got myself a hammock. Yay, I love air miles. There's no better price than free. So I got myself a hammock, purposely thinking that, this is a way to soothe that inner child. Because if you think about when you have a little baby, you swaddle them in fabric and you rock them. That's what you do. So if you have very early childhood traumas, and I did, from being ripped away from family and then put through the foster care system for this first, there was so much loss that I experienced before the age of 2. I lost a grandparent that was incredibly close to me, according to my file. I lost my father, I lost my mother, then I lost like any other family that was associated that. Then I went to a foster home, and then I went to another foster home, and then I was finally adopted. So I had severe PTSD at the age of 2.5. And of course, back in the 70s, who's thinking children have PTSD? And then I was adopted into a home that didn't know how to cope with that type of extreme PTSD. So I quickly learned, and I have memories as a child of being in my bed. I used to get plagued with, from the age of 3, I remember night terrors that I used to experience and just be in a state of absolute terror. Like, I mean, sheer terror, and not having any kind of way to soothe that, to tell me that that was okay. I would run into my parents' room, but I quickly learned that didn't feel very safe because my father snored very heavily, and it scared me. The sounds scared me, so I'd run back to my room, and I would be in my room like, you know, so I didn't learn how to soothe because that is something that somebody shows you, and so I had experienced so much loss and had such severe PTSD, and then had no way to deal with that, and so it became outbursts and emotional, like, which would get me in trouble. And so I learned that emoting was not a safe thing to do. And so now, through this awakening process, I have to reparent that little version of me. And so I got a hammock, and I spent yesterday a good portion of the day just lying in the hammock, pushing it, rocking, because the rocking motion, you know, is a way to like soothe that inner child and say, you know, it's okay. I know all of this stuff is coming up, and we're not going to repress it. We're going to allow it, and you're okay. I'm going to use the touch, and I'm going to talk to myself or use an audio recording to remind myself that everything's okay. So if you have a rocking chair or hammock, I highly recommend both of those as a healing tool to utilize. Number 5, soothing music is huge. Again, think about it. Your inner child is in a heightened state of anxiety as this complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which in my opinion is childhood stress disorder, is coming, or chronic PTSD. You know, that's what complex post-traumatic disorder is a traumatic event that reoccurs over and over and over and over again until we learn to shut it down with maladaptive coping strategies. And so now we're getting rid of the maladaptive coping strategies, and we're learning to allow, and we're learning to emote. So again, an inner child, if you think about it, we play lullabies for. So play yourself some lullabies if you want, or play yourself some soothing music. 2 that I recommend is on Spotify. You can find a group called Beautiful Chorus, and it's so beautiful and soothing, and it's saying nice messages like you're okay, but in a nice, beautiful voice. Another one that was recently recommended for me to try out that you might resonate with is Karen Drucker. Drucker, Karen Drucker. So that's Beautiful Chorus or Karen Drucker. Or otherwise, just whatever app you use for your music, just do a keyword search of soothing music and find something that resonates with you, because and that's a way to like calm and reassure that inner child, instead of like watching, what are you watching on TV? Is it soothing or not soothing? You know, one thing that I learned a while back is, you know, I used to love murder mysteries, British murder mysteries on TV, and criminal shows, those types of things. And that's because my adrenal system was always in a state of heightened fight or flight. And so when you're always in a state of fight or flight, those types of shows are relaxing to you, because you're like, yeah. But when you start to calm and soothe your nervous system, those types of shows are like, no, I can't watch them. Like, I haven't been able to watch TV in years. Because it's too scary for me. Anything too violent, I just can't do anymore, because my nervous system is still in a state of trying to regulate itself. So instead, the input that I'm giving myself is soothing music, relaxing music. I also listen to, through a lot of this process, I was listening to chants. Because chants is repetitive, and it's soothing, and it's relaxing. So if you're interested in listening to sacred chant music, I highly recommend Meditative Mind is the name of the band, and they do chants for each of the chakras. They also do like Sanskrit chants, you know, Aham Brahmahatsi is one that I would listen to, and they have ones that is 109 times of listening to the same chant. I'm sure my family thought that I was going crazy as the chant music was blaring out of my bedroom routinely, but it was very soothing. I would play it all night long on nights that I was having extreme anxiety through my spiritual crisis, and then solfeggio frequencies is another one that you can listen to that can be very soothing and relaxing to the nervous system. I've said in almost every single video out there, number 6 is grounding. And so when you're in bed and you can't get outside, but I do recommend getting outside and lying on the ground as much as you possibly can, but when you can't because you're overwhelmed by the emotion, grounding by putting your heaviest crystals that you could possibly have, or even heavy stones, on you, to help your body feel grounded. I also have grounding sheets on my bed, a grounding pillowcase, and to help, so you can look into that as tools that you can purchase. But just placing heavy things on your body will help your body feel grounded, because again, think of when your child, an infant, is in a state of crying. We soothe them by squeezing them into us. It's a tightness that feels, so they're swaddled. So swaddle yourself. You can get anxiety blankets that are weighted blankets. That I did try that, but mine was too heavy and I felt like I was, I can't move. But weighted blankets is a useful tool to help you feel grounded and help you feel supported. Or hugging things. Number 7, hugging things can also help soothe you. So my kids were awesome, and they bought me an anxiety teddy bear that is a weighted teddy bear that I can put on my chest and feels, it's got something in it that makes it heavier than a normal stuffy, but a regular stuffy would work. Treat your inner child to what you needed, and if that's a little stuffed animal, then get yourself a little stuffed animal that you can hug, or anything like that, because that will help decrease the anxiety. I even often, when I'm having extreme fear, I purchased myself a Bible, and my Bible's a little bit different than most people's Bible because it's the Jewish Bible, but so the first half of the book is the Torah and the second half of the book is the New Testament, but it's in the perspective of Yeshua as opposed to, or Yeshua as opposed to Jesus, but it's still got all the same stuff. But I was drawn to the Tree of Life Bible. I'm not raised in a religion, so I didn't want to subscribe to any one particular. To me, it was like a midpoint of spiritual teachings. I'm gonna jump into this and see what it says, and I like it. And sometimes when I've been having extreme fear, especially when negative energies I've been dealing with, and some of the spiritual stuff that gets a little bit like, what is happening to me? When you start to open all of your spiritual centers, it can get very overwhelming and very scary. So just having a Bible and then being in a state of prayer has been a wonderful way to soothe, and just simple prayers. I pray myself to God. I've said in another video, I've reclaimed that word for me, but pray to whomever works for you. Pray to Spirit, pray to Jesus, pray to the Archangel Michael. I pray to Archangel Michael a lot. The archangels are somebody that I turn to in my times of need more than anything else. I pray routinely to Archangel Michael for protection. I pray routinely to Archangel Samuel for love and compassion. I pray to Mother Mary for comfort. I pray to Raphael for healing. I pray to anyone who's listening. Some nights I've had some nights on this awakening path where literally I've spent 12 hours solid praying, and that has kept me when I've been in the worst of the worst, because spiritual crisis and spiritual emergency is nothing to minimize the seriousness of it. It is very scary. It's the type of stuff that will send people to a hospital, and that's not where I wanted to go, because I didn't feel safe going there, because I knew that they wouldn't have any idea how to deal with what I was dealing with. And but that being said, if you are in a heightened state of extreme psychosis, I do understand, and if you are at all fearing that you may harm yourself in any way, shape, or form, go where you need to go, call who you need to call in case of emergency. My break glass in case of emergency was prayer and holding on to dear life, to that Bible, to just get me through and say, you know, this too shall pass, everything's okay, I am safe, because the extreme emotions of terror, and as I said, I experienced a lot of terror on my awakening path over this last year specifically, has been at times exceptionally overwhelming. So in those moments, I would also listen to an anxiety or an I'm safe affirmation playlist throughout the night. So on YouTube, you can listen to, they have 8-hour You Are Safe. And again, I felt it much more comforting to have it coming from the perspective of you are, as opposed to I am. So You Are Safe, 8-hour affirmation, I highly, highly, highly recommend if you are facing some of the more terrifying and fear-based emotions that are surfacing, and dealing with some of the darker energies that can come along with the Kundalini awakening and experiencing those emotions. So there's a full gamut of emotions you might be dealing with. So in any moment, you're going to have to pick what's right for you. Number 8 is salt baths and soothing baths, and again, this comes down to touch as a little bit as well, but give yourself a full sensory experience. Light a candle, play some soothing music, dim the lights, and put in some salt water, put in some lavender oil or chamomile oil, both very soothing oils and comforting oils that you can use. Maybe not frankincense for this, depending on if you're having, third eye stuff, stay away from the frankincense, but lavender oil or chamomile oil are very, very, very soothing. And then just you're breathing in and having a full sensory experience. Otherwise, on the opposite side of that, if your full sensory experience, because as an empath, we are highly sensitive, and sometimes what we're picking up on is way too much. If you're having sensory overload, don't overload your senses even more. Do the opposite. Do sensory deprivation to what you can. So again, swaddle yourself, wrap yourself in a blanket to minimize how much you're feeling. Put on an eye pillow or an eye mask to minimize and give yourself total blackness. Put in earplugs or noise canceling headphones and just have silence, and give yourself an hour of like no senses, go completely sensory free, to try to pull down the overwhelming senses that you might be experiencing. Number 9, herbal teas and herbal remedies such as Rescue Remedy. Bach Rescue Remedy is fantastic for helping bring down heightened states of anxiety and stress. You can get that as just like a squirt or lozenges that you have. So go to your health food store or anywhere that sells kind of like herbal remedies. They will have Bach Rescue Remedy. Try that. If you're not taking any pharmaceuticals any longer, I can recommend St. John's wort. But if you are, do not take St. John's wort, because the interactions with pharmaceuticals, especially SSRIs, are not advisable. So if you are clear of SSRIs and you are clear of other pharmaceuticals that could, and do a search, is there an interaction between this and St. John's wort? Now, St. John's wort is a plant, but just because something is a plant doesn't mean it's not going to interact with pharmaceuticals. So please, take caution And if you have no pharmaceuticals, I really recommend the St. John's wort to help minimize your anxiety. I've been using it 1 month off, 1 month off. So 1 month I'm doing a St. John's wort. The next month I'm doing ashwagandha. And I'll go back to St. John's wort again once I'm done the ashwagandha. So this last year has been a living hell beyond you can possibly imagine, in regards to terror, to fear, to anxiety, to panic, to all of these emotions are what's being purged for me. And going through breaking trauma bonds this year, and some of the things that I've had to deal with, it was like way over the top. So I was recommended to me to start using St. John's wort ashwagandha, St. John's wort ashwagandha, and I have to say that it's helped a lot. That in that along with ice cold showers and warm water, ice cold showers and warm water. So I stand. And this is for anxiety. When anxiety and panic has been coming up, I do, when I shower now, every time I do 1 minute standing in the shower screaming 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 60 seconds in ice cold water. And then I flip it into warm, which is soothing and relaxing. And so that it's like a reset for the nervous system and helps regulate the nervous system. So you can try that as a tool as well. Number 10 isn't really a self-soothing, but it's an accompaniment to self-soothing, is making sure that you have friends that are aware of what a Kundalini awakening is, a spiritual awakening, a twin flame journey, any of these types of things that you can speak to, because the confusion, the doubt, the overwhelm, all the emotions, and having somebody that you can be an accountability partner with is hugely beneficial to not only validate but to support you in your soothing. If you don't have a friend, then I highly recommend that you try to establish one through joining groups. Now, Facebook is an excellent resort for Kundalini groups, twin flame groups, awakening groups, all of these types of things. I've even done a course through Christina Lopes called Awaken. That is a useful course. I would recommend it, and it does give you access to a lot of other people. There is a community there that you can join and be a part of if you join that course. So that's another resource. Otherwise, finding yourself a trauma-informed counselor, or and more to the point, somebody who's a transpersonal psychologist or has knowledge of Kundalini awakenings. So your everyday counselor is not going to necessarily help you through purging and awakenings. They're not. But finding somebody that has a background in, ask them these questions. Are you familiar with the teachings of Gabor Mate and or Bessel van der Kolk? If they say yes, then you're like, okay, good, you're trauma informed. Then say, are you familiar with the teachings of the Groffs or have any familiarity with transpersonal psychology and or Kundalini awakenings? If they say yes, then you're like, okay, great. I found myself a counselor that can understand what I'm going through, perhaps. And there are lots of other coaches out there like myself that can definitely help assist you if you're needing some added validation and added support, so that you can be in a state of self-soothing. If you're looking for coaching from me, who has been through this and has a background in addictions counseling, psychology, and as well as the spiritual side of things through, I am a Reiki Master for the last 20 years, please feel free to set up a one-on-one Zoom with me. The way to do that is in the description below. And my 11th recommendation is Christina Lopes. I already mentioned her course, but just her YouTube, going over there. If you're having a lot of mental chattel is what's being purged, and the energy is in your head, and you're confused, and you're feeling doubt, and you're feeling overwhelmed, and what's happening to me? Am I bipolar? Am I going crazy? Am I schizophrenic? Am I having psychosis? If those are the types of questions that you're asking yourself and you're feeling feeling overwhelmed, then hop onto her YouTube and find her playlist called Spiritual Awakenings, and just sit and watch those videos one after another and after another, because they're incredibly soothing as a way to calm the mind, because the mind is trying to convince you that doomsday is happening and everything is collapsing and you're going nuts. And you're not going nuts. What's happening is you are purging old belief structures, and ego is disintegrating. So having the information given to you, if you're a lot like me and have an analytical mind, having the information provided to you and say, okay, I'm not going crazy, or get the book, A Stormy Search for Self by the Groffs, so that you can be comforted into knowing, no, you're not going insane. You are absolutely not. This too shall pass. Whatever emotion is that you're in is going to shift. It will release. And when it does, you'll be like, oh, wow. How did I survive that? Yeah, good job. Pat yourself on the back. I made it through another round. Yes. I hope this answers the question. It's a very long answer with a lot of tools and techniques to help you learn how to self-soothe, and why we need to learn how to self-soothe. And if you have any questions about, your awakening, Kundalini, twin flame journey, dealing with addictions, getting out of trauma bonds, dealing with narcissistic abuse, dealing with emotions that are overwhelming and you don't know how to deal with a specific emotion, and you're dealing with loss and crumbling tower moments and all of these types of things, redirects, sitting with soul, understand, there's so many aspects of this awakening process that have really put me through it. So I'm here to help you in any which way that I can, coming from a place of experience as well as a background in some stuff that I'm privy to know a lot about the chakra system and a lot about the energetics that are at play here. So feel free to reach out and book something, or let's do a card read and see what Spirit has to say to you. The way to do that is send me off an email and let me know what service you're looking for. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you, and thank you. I cannot thank you enough for your support that I have received, the likes, the shares, the comments, the questions, everything that says that yes, this information that I'm providing is helpful for other people. It means the absolute world to me. And with that said, before my battery dies, peace out.